What are they? How does the visual cortex, the spinal limbed locomotor circuits, and the cortical hemispheric dominance of handedness and chest wall respiratory function influence your legs? Period. This is not a course on legs. If you thought you were coming to a course on legs, Tim, you came to the wrong house. Chad, does this make sense? If you want a leg course, they're out there, tons of them, right? This is a course on what makes those legs operate. Okay? Any questions on that? So I don't want to disappoint you right off the bat. You have a laminated chart, and we're going to go through that laminated chart. And the last thing we're going to talk about, Jen, is what? The legs. If you want to go there right now and talk about gait, you don't need to come here to talk about gait. In fact, Jen will tell you there's only 3 books out there that'll even talk about gait. Just for what it's worth, okay? Number 2, we're going to talk about arms and hands. You saw McManus's book for lateralized barometric sense. Can you believe I said that? Lateralized barometric sense. Pressure. Where are you? What do you feel? What's going on? That uses the legs and feet for balance. You use your legs and your feet to help you acquire it. You don't use your legs and feet to push you forward. You use your arms to propel you to go forward. I could cut your arm off right now and you're going to walk differently with the same 2 legs that you've got. Why would you tell me that arms have nothing to do with how you run a marathon? It's just incomprehensible. Or how about this? Put a backpack on you and put a phone in your hand, so in case you call 911, and now go climb the Grand Canyon. You're doing it without 2 legs. Do you think biologically we were put on this earth to have something strapped around our chest and something in our arms? No. Third one. What are the relationships between a hemispatial, hemi-chest, upper extremity, and lower extremity when it comes to phasic activity? I broke up these phases. No one's written that before, but I'm going to give you a phasic activity. You know, Stu, we have wonderful resources on mid stance, early stance, late stance. What about phasic activity with arms, phasic activity with sight, and phasic activity with our chest? If they're what our legs depend on, why are we not, Stu, talking about phasic activity with those first 3? Because if you don't look at those first 3, I can assure you that the phasic activity with your legs is going to be off. And you're going to say, poor heel strike on that individual. Let's get something on their heels. I remember Ron's discussion about solid metal heel plates, good heel shoes. No, see, those activities are not put on the human without the other 3 being recognized in that technique. Can you underline the word phases? You have a laminated handout with phases of activity for the first 3, not just the legs. But we have to teach, so we put that leg on the bottom so you never get lost, Stu. You don't even have to look at it right now, but you go down there and you say, what phase of the gait cycle are they in? And I'll just go up and figure out what's going on. Both the contralateral and ipsilateral side of that phase of that gait cycle. But see, Heather, if I was teaching the gait course, the leg wouldn't even be on there. There would be no leg on there. I'd say, do you really want those legs to work better and those shoes to fit better? then why don't we, instead of buying a new shoe list, why don't we put your feet in a new listed state so all shoes can work? Because that would be too difficult, because you'd have to understand a little bit more about other disciplines, because it's not taught in our generic way of going through an accredited program. Really? Oh, you're one of them. Well, you're right, it won't work. Just look at the gait cycle. Number 4. How can you start your patients and your individuals on Monday morning out with an objectivized pattern that's going to take in consideration one word: eccentric? Eccentric. You know what eccentric means? It means when you hit, touch, experience, surfaces are sliding on surfaces. When I look at a room and I'm moving, I have eccentric periphery. I'm not looking at you subconsciously with my periphery and I'm cementing it. It's moving. My ears are moving by that wall. My shoulders, amazing how this works, my humeral bone is eccentrically moving underneath this acromion. One surface is going one way as the other surface under it or over it or by it is going what, Heather? The other way. Your cortical function in your brain, your cortical function, your sensory and motor cortical function are built off and around eccentric activity. Concentric activity is called tonus. Does that make sense? Shake, rattle, and roll. And just do it over and over and over again, because you don't know how to move away from it. It's your reference. You saw it this morning. I just wanted to show you a little bit of it. Now, those are the outlines of our objectives. Oh, we got one more, Jen. I didn't even know that. Delineate the influence of lateralized centered of mass on delineate the influences of lateralized center of mass on recurring pelvic vertical displacement, lateral displacement, rotation and tilt, and corresponding cadence of arm swing and leg steps. And that's a given. So we're going to put this cadence. Remember the word rhythm this morning? Remember that word? We're going to put this word cadence. If all you did, Chad, was go home after this laborious 2 weeks, and you picked up the chart and you said, oh, I have a human that can't do this with an arm forward and this with a leg forward. They just can't get it down. You would go there to that spot and you'd say, oh, what other systems I could implement at the same time that's going on to get that rhythm of the other systems that are probably not interfacing correctly at the same time. And just watch the magic unfold. Heather, does that make sense? You just pick a system, a thing that they're having a tough time with, and go to the 3 other systems that need to be in synchronized synchronesis. And I'll bet that cortical structure is going to say, wow, that's the best whiskey anybody's ever given me. That is really good inhibitory activity for eccentric movement, which means something is going forward as something is going what? Back. If you look at what Jen said, we are trying to connect. So if you look at and let's just from this point on, before I get on to page 24, Jen, just look at where it says what she said, the right view part of this chart. So everybody just just put it in front of you with the right view. So the individual we're looking at is walking that way, the right view. Okay? And if you look on the bottom, we're taking terminology, Dr. Laura, terminology that physical therapists, I don't think optometrists got this, Dr. Laura, but things that most of us should be familiar with. Double support phase, stance phase on the right side, double support phase, and swing phase on the right side. And the support and the phasic activity, as in any gait cycle, Dr. Laura, starts with heel strike. So if you go to the very bottom corner, Dr. Laura, there's a green leg that's heel striking on the right side. Then you go into early mid stance on the right side, late mid stance on the right side, push off on the right side, early pickup on the right side, swing on the right side, and late reach on the right side, only to start the cycle again. Okay. There are very many people out there that have written about this. And if they do, Dr. Laura, I'm using you because you're so innocent. I'm not going to harm you now because this is a world outside of optometry. That those people who put gait walking cycles together do so without any arms on the body. Do so without any eyes on the body, and do so without any thought about diaphragms and respiratory function on the body. Now, if you heard what I said this morning, to me, I don't know what planet they came from, but my planet says humans do have eyes, chest, and arms that regulate that gait cycle more than the feet will ever regulate that gait cycle. Do you understand my concern, Dr. Laura, with the world I'm in and Jen are in right now? Okay. Not only that, Dr. Laura, they don't even talk about what's going on the other side with the feet. So on this very same chart, if you go up, you're going to see something going on the left side. That happens to be, of all colors, can you believe it? Purple. Because that's the side that we really need to reflect on, which is why we would flip this over here in a minute, but we're not going to right now. We're going to stay on the right side, which means when you're in the double support phase on the right side called heel strike, if you go up, Dr. Laura, if you go up, you also know at that very same time, you should be in the push off phase on the left side. See, a test question would be to a physical therapist, if you're on the push off phase on the left side, what cycle are you in on the right side? I'm not so sure many people could answer that question. Because if you're not in a good push off phase on the left side, how can you ever get heel strike correctly on the right side? Here's what means something to me. Let's think about this. Let's go to a heel strike on the right side. Now, please don't worry about what I'm saying, all you physical therapists. Please don't worry about this. We're going to go over some of this. Don't panic. We're going to plow some new ground. I know on the right side, the palm is going to be in. I know you're going to be in early stages of compression with your chest wall. And I definitely know that the peripheral contact is going to be screaming at you on the right side. And then if you go up, I know that your left arm has got to be pulling back. I know your chest is going to be in late compression. And I know for sure you should still be holding on to peripheral propulsion on that left side. There should still be something pushing you back on that left side. We're going to go through each one of these. There are countless possibilities. Give me your patient, and I'm going to look at where they're at. I'm going to go to my chart. I'm going to match their activity up, and then I'm going to go to the systems that they don't know how to integrate.